just erect structures without necessary approvals. Last year, the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development brought here an amendment to the Physical Planning Act, and we indeed passed the amendment, and we strengthened the Physical Planning Board, which we also approved that should be given a secretariat. And as a matter of information, I think the secretariat is now being constituted, and they are recruiting inspectors who are also going to be situated in different cities, so that they work, like in the case of Kampala, closely with the KCCA to see that there is regular monitoring. And like what Honorable Cooper has raised, they should be able to detect these kind of structures which are being erected, and corrective measures are taken even before Honorable Cooper has seen. So going forward, we think this function is being strengthened in the government, and we appeal to the public that there are laws, there are regulations, there are guidelines, that if you want to erect a structure, whether a fuel station or a building, there are procedures to follow, and people should not just construct anyhow. And therefore, we undertake, like the minister earlier said, to follow up on what Honorable Elijah Cooper has raised, so that if the construction is being done outside the regulations, then the corrective measures will be taken, and anywhere else in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. I think let's go to the other paper now, Honorable, please. But they are not accepted. Next item.
Item 3.
Honorable Nangoli.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. For the record, my name is Nangoli Gerard, Member of Parliament, Elgon, North Bulambuli District. Honorable Speaker, I raise on a matter of national importance, urgent national importance, with the word urgent underlined. My people of Elgon North experienced heavy rains early this week, that's on 26th and 27th, that lasted for more than 8 hours each day. And as I talk on now, it has caused havoc. It destroyed crops ranging from beans, matoke plantation, onions, cabbages, and maize. About 200 households have been affected in the sub-counties of Namisuni, Masira, Buginyanya, Bufumbo, and Sisi. All these people are locked out. They need some urgent attention. My prayer, Right Honorable Speaker, is that I request the line ministry, that's Ministry of Disaster, to come up with an immediate remedy for these people, especially 5 parishes of Gabgoto, Namezi, Namdongo, and Mavono. These people are on my neck, but as you earlier directed, Right Honorable Speaker, it is very important that when we raise these issues here on the floor of Parliament, the respective ministers should get in touch with honorable members of Parliament of that particular constituency when they are going on ground. Because it's on the record that when we mention these matters, the ministers go on the ground without the knowledge of the member of Parliament of that constituency. You only see them on TV. And yet we are the ones who have raised matters of national importance on the floor of Parliament. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Minister.
Yes, Leader of Government Business.
Right Honorable Speaker, the Bugisu sub-region, where Honorable Nangori comes from, is one of the areas we are critically looking at. And because of being an area which is disaster prone, what I'm going to do, Right Honorable, tomorrow, Honorable Nangori, please at 11, come, we meet with the Minister for Disaster Preparedness, we ensure we address the issue, and people get off your neck.
Remember, he's saying that they don't see the people on your neck right now. I think that is use of language.
That is the procedure.
Procedure?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I see this is the rainy season, and almost every member has issues in his or her constituency regarding the destruction caused by the rains. And even this afternoon, several members are raising issues regarding the destruction of roads, bridges. Could we maybe as Parliament have a mechanism and members of Parliament raise all these issues? Because even us who are seated here quiet, we have similar issues in our constituencies. And maybe we give them to the office of the Prime Minister, particularly the Minister responsible for disaster preparedness, and then he brings a comprehensive report on what is happening in the country. I'm sure even Omoro County could be having similar issues because rains are also there. So instead of raising them piecemeal, could we maybe have a central focus where all of us submit the destruction is in our constituencies, and then we enable the Minister for Disaster Preparedness to bring a comprehensive report on how the situation is in the country, and if he requires more resources, then we have that discussion to fix all these issues in our constituencies. That's the point of procedure.
You see, the real challenge is sometimes it can't wait for the compilation of all this and a report. Sometimes a report is not even necessary. What is required is action, immediate action. Immediate action is required on the ground. So now do you first wait, compile, and then give a statement to Parliament when there's no bridge in Chekwi, when the floods, parishes are washed away, banana plantation, everything. How do you wait for compilation of these things? These things that are raised under Rule 49, they are really of an urgent nature that requires immediate response. As for broken bridges and the compilation, that is up to the minister. But the ordinary people, when there's a disaster, the CAOs will have also done what they should do to submit to the office of the Prime Minister. Now, the members who raise these things, you see, the members of Parliament. And this is their place where they can air out this. We cannot deny them also the opportunity to use the time here and inform the rest of Parliament that a disaster has occurred in their place. I think let's try to see how to balance it. But the minister responsible, like the other time we had the one for environment, got a whole big list of stuff and things like that. The only thing you should do if there's an urgent matter, please come to the speaker and discuss it, and we see how you proceed with it. This business of showing up from here, I cannot see you on an urgent matter. You need to come and we discuss it, and then we proceed from there. That's what the rules say, Rule 49, for urgent matters. Can we now go on the other paper, please? Thank you.
Item 3, bills first reading. Item 3, Roman 1.
Right Honorable Speaker, today is my...
Microphone, adjust the microphone, please.
Today is my maiden appearance. It's my privilege to address you for the first time. And I'm here on behalf of the other persons in Eastern Region, Gidudu Mafabi Dominic. And I'm not only alone, we are 5 older persons MPs. And we thank all those who made it possible for us to be here in Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm standing in for my Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Honorable Amongi Betty. My duty today is to lay before Parliament the National Social Security Fund Amendments Bill 2021. Mr. Speaker, I am moving that and I'm laying it before Parliament. That is my first duty.
Okay, since it's your maiden appearance,
Yes.
for those who have done it many times, they would have done it differently.
Yes.
They would have said, Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg that the bill entitled this be read for the first time. That's how they would have done it.
Yes. Thank you.
But
Mr.
since it is
Speaker.
your maiden, now I've given you what others used to do.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And that's why I told you I'm happy to address you tonight.
The National Social Security Fund Amendment Bill 2021.
Thank you.
Item 3, Roman 2.
We have to deal with it, 1 o'clock. Honorable members, you know there's a background to this bill. The National Social Security Fund Amendment Bill, which is now 2021. There have been discussions in public about decisions that we made on guidance how this matter should be handled. As you recall, this particular bill had come from government, had been processed, and had gone up to the president for assent. The president returned it to another parliament, and none of the provisions of the rules was followed, neither was the constitution followed. So a decision was taken that we reintroduce this matter and deal with them. But that does not remove the fact that the committee had exhaustively dealt with this matter and finished. And also the president had looked at it and made strict comment on 4 clauses. So when we send it back to the committee, what we expect from the committee, since the parliament had already looked at this thing, we urge the committee, is the chairperson of the committee on gender here? Yes, the honorable member for Chegegwa, we ask you to look mainly, of course, the report had already been adopted by the other parliament, the bill had been adopted, the president raised concerns. Those concerns, from my reading of the current bill, what the president proposed, have already been incorporated in this bill. So what you're going to do is to help us, this bill is urgent, look at those proposals for change that have been reintroduced by sent back by the president, and see if you agree with the president or not, instead of going the whole way again, which will not help the process. So I'm giving you 10 days to come back to Parliament, and we process this bill. The National Social Security Amendment Fund Bill 2021 stands referred to the Committee on Gender to handle within 10 days and report on how we proceed with this matter. Thank you. Next item.
Item 3, Roman 2.
Honorable Minister. Agriculture.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay on table the bill entitled...
No, you beg to move that the bill entitled that be read for the first time.
Mr.
Is
Speaker,
it your
sir,
maiden speech also, Chief Whip?
in terms of moving bills. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Fisheries and Aquaculture Bill 2021 be laid on table for the first reading.
Be read the first
Be
time.
read for the-
Be read the first time. Okay.
The Fisheries and
Mr.
Aquaculture
Speaker,
Bill
sir.
2021.
There is also a certificate of financial implications.
Okay, could you lay both the bill and the honorable members, let the records capture both the bill and the certificate of financial implications attached, and the stand referred to the Committee on Agriculture to handle expeditiously. This is a new bill, let them proceed with it. Honorable Minister for Trade, is it trade? No, for gender, we did not see your certificate. Did you bring it? Certificate of financial implication. Oh, okay. They have it without the record.
Right Honorable Speaker, the certificate of financial implication was sent in writing, and we didn't bring it here, but we can forward it again.
No, but the clerk has it.
Yes.
It was just not announced.
Thank you.
Okay. So the records have captured the bill, the National Social Security Fund Amendment Bill, and the certificate attached of financial implications stands referred as stated earlier. Next.
Item 3, Roman 3, the Landlord and Tenant Bill 2021.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members of Parliament. I beg to move that the bill titled Landlord Tenant Bill 2021 be read for the first time. Honorable Speaker, I beg to also lay a certificate of financial implication. I beg to move, Right Honorable.
Thank you very much.
The Landlord and Tenants Bill 2021.
Let the records capture both this bill and the certificate of financial implication. Being a new bill, it should be handled within the rules, 45 days. Chair of Committee on Infrastructure is here. Huh? It's a return bill? This is the London antenna is also a return bill. Okay.
Yes. It's also for the category of the first one.
Okay.
It was considered duly by the House and taken the President, and he just sent it back on one or two items, very small items.
Okay, then the referral is the same like the NSSF amendment bill. The landlord and tenant bill has also been returned to another parliament, and as I said earlier, the issues have already been captured in the bill itself. So deal with those specific issues, the committee of in charge of infrastructure, and I also give you 10 days to come back with this bill back to Parliament.
Item 3, Roman 4, the Fiscal Planners Legislation Bill 2021.
Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, I beg to lay the bill. I beg to move that the bill entitled the Fiscal Planners Bill 2021.
No, I thought that was registration.
Fiscal Planners Registration Bill 2021 be read for the first time.
Thank you. Is it accompanied by certificate?
The certificate of financial implication is
attached.
attached.
Let the records capture the bill and the certificate. It's referred to the same committee on infrastructure. This being a new bill, you have 10 days to handle the other one, and then you have 45 days running consecutively to deal with this bill.
Item 3, Roman 5, the Supplementary Appropriation Number 2, Bill 2021.
Honorable Minister, Finance. Is number 2.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled Supplementary Appropriation Number 2, Supplementary Appropriation Bill Number 2 be read for the first time. The certificate of financial implication is hereby attached. I beg to
let the records capture that and stand referred to our committee, supplementary appropriation. Our committee on budget to handle expeditiously and advise the House how to proceed. We have a timeline on how to deal with this matter, so please act quickly so that we don't begin violating provisions of the Constitution, the Public Finance Management Act, and our own rules.
Item 3, Roman 6, the Supplementary Appropriation Number 3, Bill 2021.
Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Supplementary Appropriation Bill Number 3, 2021 bill read for the first time, and the certificate of financial implication is attached.
The supplementary appropriation number 3, Bill 2021.
Let the records capture the bill and the certificate. It stands referred to our Committee on Budget to handle expeditiously to fit within the timeline provided by the laws of this country. Next item.
Item 4, statement by Minister of Security.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members of Parliament. This ministerial statement arises from a statement made by Honorable Chiwanuka Abdallah, Member of Parliament for Mukono North and Shadow Minister for Internal Affairs, on the implementation of the Intelligent Transport Monitoring System, ITMS. The following are the issues he raised. 1, the nature of the contract and its alleged non-adherence to sections 21 to 22 and sections 31, 33, 34 of the Public-Private Partnership Act 2015. Right Honorable Speaker, I should mention that the matters the Honorable Member of Parliament raised touch on the principle of sub judice, because there is a court case going on over the same matter, but I have tried to give a statement without injuring that principle. Number 2, the issue number 2 he raised was the lack of an enabling legal framework for the implementation of the ITMS. Number 3, making owners of already registered vehicles incur the costs of replacement of license plates. Number 4, the alleged intrusion of right to privacy, contrary to Article 27 of the Constitution, and violation of the Data Protection and Privacy Act. Then number 5, alleged abuse of the personnel by security officials. It is for the above that I make response to the statement of the Shadow Minister of Internal Affairs to this August House. And honorable members, this statement has been forwarded to you on your iPads. Introduction. Right Honorable Speaker, I wish to start by making a clarification on the statement that I disassociated myself from the project's due diligence flaws or the project for that matter. Right Honorable Speaker, the point I made is that the project was conceived by the government in 2018 during the reign of my predecessor, General El Tumwine. I was simply correcting the narrative that I personally handpicked joint stock company Global Security to undertake the project. Right Honorable Speaker and members, honorable members, over the last number of years, Uganda has witnessed a series of shocking and gruesome crimes committed by criminals moving by motor vehicles and motorcycles. We were all shocked by those gruesome crimes, with the last attempt being on the life of Honorable Minister of Works and Transport, which unfortunately resulted in the death of his dear daughter and driver. However, in 2018, His Excellency the President directed relevant government agencies to beef up security in Uganda by establishing a smart tracking system for motor vehicles and motorcycles countrywide. The overall goal was to improve security and reduce crime committed against innocent Ugandans by rogues who had made it a habit of shooting our people and getting away mainly on motorcycles. Consequently, on the 23rd of July 2021, the government of Uganda, represented by the Office of the President, Minister of Works and Transport on one hand, and Mrs. Joint Stock Company Global Security on the other, entered into an agreement to implement the Intelligent Transport Monitoring System. The specific objectives of the ITMS are: 1, crime management through detection, tracking, identification, and recognition of all vehicles and motorcycles operating in the country. Provide for additional benefits like improved revenue collection by URA, improved traffic management by Uganda Police Force, being able to track and apprehend traffic rule violators, and reduction or elimination of duplicate registrations of vehicles, motorcycles, as the case has been of late. The second issue was a detailed explanation for the issues raised by the Honorable Shadow Minister for Internal Affairs. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, the overall benefits of the ITMS are noble and extend beyond the aspirations of reducing crime. Regrettably, sections of the public and media have cast this project as one fashioned with objectionable outcomes, which I intend to explain to this august House. Right Honorable Speaker, this contract was executed under the public-private partnership arrangement. On the 18th of November 2019, His Excellency the President directed the Right Honorable Prime Minister to, inter alia, implement the ITMS as a classified procurement under the Ministry of Security. Pursuant to the above directive, a memorandum of understanding for carrying out a feasibility study on creating an ITMS was executed between the Government of Uganda and Mrs. Joint Stock Company Global Security on 22nd of March 2019. Thereafter, a feasibility study was conducted and the contracting authority identified the public-private partnership as the suitable arrangement to engage with Mrs. Joint Stock Company Global Security. On the 23rd July 2021, a public-private partnership agreement was executed between the Government of Uganda, represented by the Office of the President and the Ministry of Works Transport, with the Mrs. Joint Stock Company Global Security. Section 33 of the Act gives the option of a non-competitive bidding method called direct procurement. This method of procurement is a sole source procurement method used where circumstances do not allow the use of competition, especially where the subject is specialized, and in this case, even of a security nature. However, procurement of a private party under this method shall be approved by Cabinet. Right Honorable Speaker, the agreement executed between the parties is a build, own, operate, and transfer type of agreement. It obliges the private party to finance, build, own, and operate an infrastructure for a specified period and transfer the infrastructure to the contracting authority at the end of that period. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, procurement of security equipment is a sensitive and delicate matter which cannot be subjected to open competitive methods, public expression of interest as required under Section 31 of the PPP Act 2015. It should also be noted that the company we have engaged is an innovator, the owner of this particular system that we want to set up. As such, the contractor for ITMS was procured in line with Section 33 of the PPP Act 2015, which permits the sole sourcing procurement method where circumstances do not allow the use of competitive means. Section 33(3) of the PPP Act 2015 requires Cabinet approval where a contractor has been procured directly. This requirement was met. Regarding a due diligence on the firm's capacity, a technical team, a committee visited the company in Moscow and tendered a report. On the basis of the said report, government entered into a memorandum of understanding to operationalize the ITMS and became the platform for further engagement of the firm. I wish to add that His Excellency the President was alive to the security concerns, which is why he directed that the project should be undertaken as a classified project. Nonetheless, we decided to inform the country of what we were doing to address the criminality that is being perpetuated using motor vehicles and motorcycles. Right Honorable Speaker and members, it is therefore not factual that the directive of His Excellency the President is unlawful. The direct procurement process is provided for in the law. The duty of the government officials is to comply with the directive of His Excellency the President in accordance with the law. Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Shadow Minister of Internal Affairs informed this House that the Traffic and Road Safety Vehicle Registration Licensing and Third-Party Insurance regulations do not provide for installation of electronic tracking devices on the transportation equipment. It should be noted that Section 3A, G, and H of the Traffic and Road Safety Act 1988, as amended Act 2020, empowers the Chief Licensing Officer to issue motor vehicles with the registration plates and cancel or suspend the registration of any vehicle for breach of this Act. This means that the registration plates on vehicles and motorcycles are the property of the government of Uganda, which has a right to determine the features of the registration plates. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, the government is alive to the fact that it must act within the law at all times. Accordingly, it is to give confidence to the honorable members that this system is going to be used in compliance with the law. The installation of this system is within the law as far as fighting crime is concerned. The Uganda Police Force is mandated under Article 212C of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda to prevent and detect crime, and the same provision is reproduced in Section 4 of the Police Act. Therefore, in performing their mandate under the law, the Uganda Police Force will only use the data collected when one is suspected by the police of having committed a crime. The apprehension that the police will know where one is if he or she has not committed a crime is without basis. The technology to be deployed, just like the CCTV cameras, is meant to equip and aid the police in performing its mandate under the law. Right Honorable Speaker, the agreement for the ITMS provides for the obligations of the government to adopt legislation necessary for the operation of the system. In that regard, the government shall make the necessary amendments to the Traffic and Road Safety Vehicle Registration, Licensing and Third-Party Insurance Regulation for the operationalization of the system. Currently, the system is at the development stage. I assure this august House and the country that by the time the system comes into operation, it shall be implemented within the law. The Shadow Minister of Internal Affairs also raised a concern in this House about the public meeting the cost of the installation of the system. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, it is in the interest of all of us to fight crime and weed out criminals within our society to the extent possible. We should not lose the main focus of this system. Secondly, the device is going to be installed in the number plates and issued during vehicle and motorcycle registration. Citizens are going to be paying for the number plates the same way they are paying for them today, except that the cost of the number plates may be slightly higher than the current cost. The payment of the number plates shall be premised on a legal framework. Honorable members, the assurance I wish to give you is that the cost of the number plates shall not be exorbitant as alleged. Global Security is not going to charge the said costs arbitrarily. A technical team of government shall assess the cost of the plates before the actual figure is firmed and implemented. The Honorable Member also raised the concern of intrusion of privacy in violation of the right under the Article 27 of our Constitution and violation of the Data Protection and Privacy Act. Right Honorable Speaker, there has been a lot of debate that the system is going to intrude on people's privacy in violation of the Constitution. The government is alive to the right to privacy in the Constitution. However, Article 43 of the same Constitution provides that the enjoyment of the rights and freedoms should not prejudice the rights and freedoms of others and public interest. The government is aware that it is supposed to promote rights and freedoms, and that any limitation of the enjoyment of rights and freedoms must be what is acceptable and demonstrably justifiable in a free and democratic society. Right Honorable Speaker, The question is whether ITMS is demonstrably justifiable in a free and democratic society under Article 43 of the Constitution. The Uganda Police Force is mandated under Article 2012C of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda to prevent and detect crime, and the same provision is reproduced in Section 4 of the Police Act. Therefore, in performing their mandate under the law, the Uganda Police Force will only use the data collected when one is suspected by police of having committed a crime. The technology to be deployed, just like the CCTV cameras, is meant to equip and aid the police in performing their mandate under the law. Additionally, the right to privacy is not one of the rights that are non-derogable. The non-derogable rights include: 1, freedom from torture and cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. B, freedom from slavery and servitude. C, the right to fair hearing and fair hearing encapsulated in Article 28, and D, the right to an order of habeas corpus. Right Honorable Speaker, suffices to note that the rationale for the ITMS is to facilitate government through the Uganda Police Force to easily identify and track any motor vehicle or motorcycle that may be used by any person in the commission of a criminal offense, including traffic offenses prescribed under the Traffic and Road Safety Act. This is in public interest, acceptable, and demonstrably justifiable in a free and democratic society as prescribed in Article 43(2)(c) of the Constitution. The Intelligent Transport Monitoring System is only a tool deployed by government to facilitate the execution of the constitutional mandate of the Uganda Police Force in preventing and detecting crime in public interest as envisaged in Article 43 of the Constitution. Right Honorable Speaker, on data protection and privacy, the government is alive to this law. Personal data and information collected, processed and stored through the Intelligent Transport Monitoring System shall be subject to the data protection principles provided for in the Data Protection and Privacy Act 2019 that clearly safeguards the privacy of the data subject and penalizes any violation against abuse of personal data and privacy. Further, provisions on the confidentiality is in the agreement between government and the Global Security Joint Stock Company. The agreement has a specific provision providing that the data collected, processed, and stored shall be subject to the data protection and privacy law. This applies to global security as well as data is supposed to be stored in Uganda. The penalties provided for in the law shall apply to this project in the same way it applies to any other data collected in Uganda, such as the telecommunications data. Access to the side data is regulated. Access to the side data is regulated by the law. Right Honorable Speaker, the Shadow Minister of Internal Affairs is suspicious that the system is intended to curtail movement of opposition leaders and prevent dissenting opinions against government. I wish to categorically state that the suspicion is unwarranted because the system is purely to fight crime and has nothing to do with opposition leaders or supporters for that matter. In conclusion, Right Honorable Speakers and Honorable Members, the gruesome criminal acts that have happened in this country in recent times should bring us together as a country to fight criminality. I want to assure the House and the country that the primary objective of the government is to prevent its citizens and is to protect its citizens and their property. We cannot shy away from this responsibility. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for this statement. Honorable Minister, honorable members, this is not a typical statement on our Rule 52, where the minister would come voluntarily with a statement. This is a statement in response to a statement by the shadow minister for this sector, who will find a way of dealing with it, because we had a debate of 15 minutes or so under the rules when the shadow minister made the statement. Ordinarily, the statement of the minister should have attracted a 1-hour debate. But that's up to us, because the rules don't say anything about it. Statement in response to a shadow minister's statement. We don't have any provision in the rules. It's not a typical policy statement from the minister. We can have interactions. Let's start. Debate without decision. I'll start, yes? I'll start the Casilo, Bujiri, that is, what is that one? That constituency is
Thank you.
Chigulu, South. Our member for Ruchiga. Then I have the honorable member for. It's a full debate. Can we limit the time then? Can we do 3 minutes and debate will take 1 hour? Yeah, that's what the rules say. 1 hour, 3 minutes each. Casilo.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Minister for working hard to secure that the lives of Ugandans are safe. With that in mind, Honorable Speaker, I just want to ask a few clarifications from the Minister. One, when you are reading on your statement, you did specify that this is a PPP for a period of time. You did not tell us the contract for how long. I need you to clarify, because we read in the Pearl Times, first the PS of Works was saying it's a contract for 10 years. But the CEO of that company, Mr. Ivan, or was quoted to be saying, Mr. Ivan Skraban was saying it's for 2 years, then it will be passed to the government of Uganda. I need you to clarify that. Two, why most of the killings that have taken place by these assassins, they have mainly been using motorcycles. Wouldn't it be right if we piloted this project on the motorcycles? Because these are the ones, maybe 90%, 95%, which has been used by the assassins. Three, what's the total cost of this contract? I think the Ugandans need to know. There were allegations, which you also read in the Times, the Pearl Times newspaper, regarding the bankruptcy of this company. And that's why people were wary, because in that, this company was sued by a number of companies, and they failed to pay. One of which, the companies that sued, this company we are contracting is JSC, Royal Silk, and the cost awarded was 19.9 million rubles. The stock trading company and the cost which were awarded were 1.2 million rubles. Tarade GS company sued and they were awarded 23 million rubles. This is the Russian money. The JSC ZVI also sued the same company. The stock company Global Security System was again sued by Raspron Technology, and they asked them to pay 220,000 US dollars. So these allegations have come. We can read about them, and they say that's why this company was declared bankrupt. So are we with the company that is shrouded with those? I think those are the issues that the Ugandans need to be clarified on. But otherwise, I support the lives and property of Ugandans.
Your time was actually up.
Thank you.
When you were negotiating with the microphone. Chigulu, I mean,
no, Right Honorable. Thank you, Right Honorable. Right Honorable, I want to thank the Minister for the statement, first of all, in response to the statement by the Shadow Minister. However, I have a lot of concerns. One, Right Honorable, the Minister talks about choosing one company under direct procurement. Right Honorable, we are all aware that if you want to get value for money, even if you're doing direct procurement, you cannot get one company, Right Honorable. You have to get at least 4 or 5 companies to compare. There is no way you can hand-pick one company and you say, I'm doing direct procurement. How have you known the cost of the same item in other companies? Right Honorable. I think this is a mistake that we made from the very beginning. Honorable Minister, I would like you to clarify this to Ugandans and tell this Parliament how you came up hand-picked one company. The law provides, you can say the law provides, yes, but for Ugandans to get value for money, you must have compared the cost of the same items in other companies, at least 3 or 4, so that we get the real value for money. Because this time, Right Honorable, we are aiming at seeing that Ugandans get the most highest benefit from the little resources that we have in this country. Right on information, I take it. But you don't take my name.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker and the Honorable Member, for yielding the floor. The information I wanted to provide is that my understanding is that government is not going to invest resources, but the minister will negotiate with the company to agree on how much this company is going to charge to recover the costs which they put in. So they will use their own money, and then on the license, they add some little fee, which we shall pay as we get our registration for our vehicles, and then the company will recover the money that way, but the government won't invest in resources.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Variamos, for that information. Honorable Minister.
Actually, your time is up, Honorable Member.
Just 1 minute. Honorable Minister, even if it is that, as it may be, Ugandans are going to buy these number plates. We cannot just say we are locking them on one company without comparison. My issue is we should have compared to get value for money. There is no way you come up with one company. This company is having a lot of issues. Honorable Elijah has raised here. The company has been declared bankrupt one time, and we don't compare. Then we just go ahead and say that this is the company that is going to provide the number plates and that it is going to secure Ugandans. Right, Honorable, this should be sorted out before we move ahead.
Thank you, Ruchiga. Then Chigulu South. Yeah. Ruchiga, Chigulu South.
Thank you, Right Honorable, for this opportunity. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for the statement. I have a few concerns that I would like to lodge forward. Number one is about the payment for number plates by the people themselves. To me, I think whereas security is so paramount for us as Ugandans, it is also very important to understand that Ugandans are paying too much taxes. And everything is now taxation, taxation. And to add another problem, I call it a problem because it's a cost, it's an obligation. To add on them another obligation to pay for number plates for purposes of being tracked, I think that is not proper. Number two, after the contract was signed with the government of Uganda, there were some issues which Honorable Elijah, some of them he has highlighted. I would like to know from the Honorable Minister, after understanding that there are issues with the company they had signed a contract with, what measures, what has the government done to look into those issues to ensure that any pertinent matters concerning that company are addressed? Also, Right Honorable Speaker, it is very important to understand that there are some assumptions which were made maybe when they were procuring this company. For example, I would like to know from the Honorable Minister how motor vehicles and motorcycles which are not Ugandan, maybe which are from South Sudan, from Rwanda, from Kenya, how will they be tracked? Are they also going to be buying the number plates whenever they are entering the country? That one needs to come out clearly. Right Honorable Speaker, there is an issue of where Honorable Christopher Jones has said the government is not going to pay for this system, but who is government? I thought government is people. Ugandans are going to pay. So when Ugandans are going to pay, it means the government is paying. And also, Right Honorable Speaker, it is important to understand that when there is an arrangement like this, as one of the honorable members has said, we need to get clarity, especially on how the procurement process was conducted, to ensure that there was competition.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity. Right Honourable Speaker, I have to thank the Minister for bringing this response on the floor of Parliament. Right Honourable Speaker, we needed this information yesterday as members of Parliament. And I'm happy that finally we're on board, that the suspicion, the speculation that has been in the countryside, I think we will be able to somehow explain about this. Right Honourable Speaker, there's an adage in Rusoga that if you have ever been hit by a snake, if you see a crawling rope, then you need to take caution and precaution. Right Honourable Speaker, in 2010, 2011, during the procurement of the first national ID system, we followed a similar procurement process or procedure of acquiring such sensitive equipment. Right Honourable Speaker, government lost a lot of money, and a company called Mulba. Right Honourable Speaker, government had again to come back to this floor of Parliament to ask and get more resources to ensure the target, the intended purpose is achieved of having IDs given to Ugandans. Right Speaker, because the process was not clear. And I remember my late elder brother, Honorable Chirunda Chifejinja, this house was almost throwing him out because he failed to supervise and superintend over that same procurement. And this is a red flag that our minister should take interest into, that the cost vis-a-vis value for money, what Ugandans intend to achieve from this, needs to be addressed. Right, Speaker, even first technologies about management.
I remember recently, when the contract expired, government took over, it took up the management and the issue of issuance of driving permits to Ugandans. But it had become a fleecing center, extortion center for Ugandans who wanted to get driving permits. And I feel, if you are not very careful, this one will also suppress our people in one way or another. Right, Mr. Speaker, there are all the vehicles and motorcycles already in the country. The minister is telling the House that the cost will be paid or will be met at the point of registration of these motorcycles and vehicles. What about the old vehicles and motorcycles that are already in the country? They are.
Thank you, Chiguru. So then I have Chibanda.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Minister for the efforts that is being made to strengthen security in this country. However, we need to go back a few years when we talked about cameras as the magic bullet in fighting crime. We know that that has not helped solve the problem. And my question therefore is on, have you done an effectiveness assessment on this system? Because there are three potential gaps. The first is that can this number plate be removed, placed on another vehicle, and used to commit a crime? The second issue is about the time interval where this number plate will be able to be tracking. We know that most of these systems track every 4 hours. What happens in the interval between those 4 hours? We know that it takes less than 5 minutes to commit a crime. So have we ensured that this will be real time every second, or it is every hour? And lastly, is this system power driven? We know that most of these GPS systems depend on the battery of the vehicle. What happens when this battery is disconnected? In other words, are we going to have a foolproof system, or we are going to call it a magic bullet today, but tomorrow it will not even be the bronze bullet or the silver bullet we expect? Thank you.
Sorry, that was a member for Kole. Tororo District, Kajara, Rakai. Tororo District, you have forgotten your Should I be guided by the suggestions being made?
No, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, you know the mask sometimes makes it difficult for some words to come out clearly. It sounded like in Toroko. Right Honourable Speaker, my concern, I've heard the President talking about this subject, about the vehicle tracking. But let us know that when people are determined to commit a crime, they will definitely devise other means of doing the same. Right Honourable Speaker, when we put the lights, the cameras on the roads, I thought this would help us in reducing some of these incidences. But Right Honourable Speaker, I have noticed that while we put in place the cameras, we did not invest in the human resources to sit and clearly look at what is going on our roads. I had the opportunity to travel to South Korea. And Right Honourable Speaker, what goes on there is that every 6 hours, there is a new team at the station, and if everyone is given a particular road or area to observe, and in a minute, if they see something strange, they call the security people who will be alert and immediately rush to that scene, whether it's a traffic offense or any other offense. However, here, Right Honourable Speaker, when the President talked of sacking the people who were manning that control room. I felt sorry for these police officers. You can't sit and be glued on these cameras the whole night, over 8 hours, and you think these people will be effective. People get tired, there is fatigue, and these are lessons that we need to pick. Right Honorable Speaker, importing a car in this country is already too expensive because of the taxes. I want to drive a V8 like yours, Right Honorable Speaker. It may be cheap if I'm buying it from Japan, but the taxes bringing that car here are too high. And now we want, just half a minute. Now we want to add another cost to this. Right Honorable Speaker, I think government should bear the cost because it is your mandate to take care of the security of Ugandans. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
It was Kajara.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank the Minister for this statement. Of course, we've been waiting for so long. And you know we represent people who have been confused about how this tracking will be conducted. Honorable Minister, I think you still have a very big job to do, though you think that bringing those tracking devices will help a lot. Because what I think is that the problem is not failure to track the vehicles. The problem is within the people who are committing those crimes. I want to know, Honorable Minister, how your ministry has invested in conducting research to discover why Ugandans are behaving like this. And you need to work with the other ministries to make sure that if you find a problem, you can work together to rectify it. Instead of spending a lot of money, of course, a lot of foreign exchange, we don't produce those devices here in Uganda, before we do research to cure the to fight the disease instead of fighting the symptoms. Secondly, Honorable Minister, I need to get clarification about the cost of the device. You said the cost will be low, but a low cost is relative. So how low is it, Honorable Minister, such that we can communicate to our voters? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. I'm going this way, then I'll come this way. Let me finish here. I have now Rakai, Leantonde, Metiana South, Shema. Have I finished here? Yes, Rakai.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, I want to thank the Minister for the statement. It has a bit cleared the air out there. Ugandans were wondering about what has been happening with the presidential directive that started in 2018. You talk about the signing already being done, but when are the equipments being brought in the country? When is the process starting here in Uganda? Since you seemingly have told us that everything has been cleared. Two, it's about the cost. From your statement, there was a lot of money that went to the classified budget. So I'm wondering what that money procured. If, like the Honorable Minister, Chris Baryomunsi, said that we're not going to invest in any money, so what did that money do? And how much money was it? So that poses a big question to Ugandans who have heard this statement. Secondly, when you tell us that a small cost is going to be put on number plates, an increased cost, I am wondering if we go back to the old cars that already have number plates and the new ones that will be coming in, if it is going to be possible for Ugandans to go back and buy new number plates that they already have at an increased cost. I'm wondering if it is a small cost, can't you take it up in your classified expenditure and make sure that Ugandans also benefit in such a way? Because majorly it's not benefiting Ugandans alone. It is going to improve our tax base collection. It is going to improve or solve many problems as far as security is concerned. Secondly, if it is going to be enrolled in the entire country, let it be a fair play for every Ugandan, so that you do not have excuses of those that can afford and those that cannot afford. I think if it is a small cost like you stated, then government should take up that small cost. Ugandans are already spending on a lot to import cars, already paying the cost of number plates, so that small increment should be put in the classified expenditure if we want the system to work. Many people are commenting on the cameras, but I think cameras have done a great job. If you see the attacks that have been happening and how cameras have helped security to lead them on the clues and arrests of the rightful people that have been doing all these crimes, I give credit to cameras, and I think if this system is well handled, it will solve.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Minister for his statement, and I support the introduction of this ITMS because it will curb some crime. I'll give an example. Someone who was saying, Honorable Cooper was saying that they should first try with the motorcycles, but I don't agree with you, because even these motor vehicles are committing crime. Giving an example, in my district, just 2 weeks ago, my immediate neighbor was got on his way to work, and within 2 hours, he was already killed. They threw him somewhere, and thank God, those who are saying that the cameras are not working, they used the cameras in the Antonde to trace the vehicle, and they got these killers. And 2 incidences have happened. Just 3 months ago, the same thing happened. I think they're the same killers who got on someone also from Liantonde. I think it's a system they're using in Liantonde. They are not using borders, but they are using vehicles to strangle people and throw them on the roadside. So I think if this ITMS is introduced, maybe the crimes will reduce, and it is good for the government. So, but my worry is on the just accepting one company, this joint stock company, Global Security, to be the sole provider for this. I think would have brought in many companies to at least come in government, and we see which company to take on the contract. Then another issue is on the amount going to be charged. As everyone has said, I think let government take up this. As we pay for the number plates and the taxes, at least government can do this to protect its citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Maybe to correct the record, Tiana North constituency.
Tiana North.
Yeah.
Segumire.
Segumire, yes.
Honorable.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and I thank the Honorable Minister for this report. Maybe I'd like to know from Honorable Minister of Security that has he established and compared the cost of this device in other countries? Because I have a fear that this company might take advantage and hike the price for the device. Thank you.
I'd already picked Shema, then I go Agago, Butaleja, Honorable Bianyima.
Thank you, Right Honorable, for this opportunity. I join my colleagues in thanking the Minister for this detailed explanation, which has cleared the air on most issues which were concerning so many people. However, I want to put it to the Minister that in this country of ours, most cars which are driven on our roads are not by choice. It's a necessity because government does not have enough transport for everyone. So most people buy ramshackled vehicles, buy old vehicles to be able to move from point A to point B. And they pay with their meager funds, and they pay taxes. I think for government to add an extra something on these vehicles is not fair to our people. I would wish to ask the Minister to review this and help our people, because people buy cars, take their children to school. There are no buses on Kampala Road, on Entebbe Road, on Jinja Road. So these vehicles are necessary and they pay deeply from their pockets. I also want to raise the fears of some members who think classified procurement, you go directly to one company. I think the minister in his wisdom, or his officials, went through so much to come to zero on this company. He doesn't have to tell us because it is classified. I have been there and I know what it is about. You don't wake up and choose one company. I'm sure they have gone through a vigorous and rigorous exercise of selecting the best company to procure this item from. Thank you. Right.
Agago. Proceed. Honorable.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speakers. In this country, the people of Uganda invested in the company. They did a lot of many works on the road, such that vehicles has to be inspected. But until now, such kind of projects never helped Uganda. There's this thing that maybe the minister have to help us here. This company, the ITMS, is supposed to be, it seemed to be a foreign company. Who introduced this company to Uganda? Who are the directors? Because in many situations, they come in that kind of color, then at the end, they run away, or they defraud Ugandans with a lot of money. And the worst scenario is, people who are supposed to advise the president, they just go and make the president make a decision, then at the end, give us a lot of ugly face in the face of the population. Especially if the thing is changing to be very hard, then the thing will be twisted that it is classified information. It is classified sort of thing like that. To the extent that Ugandans are asking themselves, which are the things that we should put them under classified issues? Mr. Speaker, it is paramount to know how many vehicles do you have in this country? How many motorcycles do you have in this country now as we talk? And the border people, whatever you call them. Now to that matter, if an individual maybe owns, like, because I know, like my senior brother, the minister, Ishwaro, has more than 2 vehicles. No, he told me last time. So, it's a trade of that nature. You see how many vehicles now, to the extent that if the minister is saying, he made it very clearly, members, that to provide additional revenue to URA. So it is, we should not hide. If it is about revenue, let us talk about, we need money. We need to collect money. But in a way, just like other colleagues are saying, there is beyond what we are thinking.
No, your time.
That we need to go deeper.
Honorable,
so that
your
we
time
hit
is
the
up.
ball head. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For the record, the ITMS is the project, is what is going to be installed. The company is what? Joint Stock Company, Global Security. That is the company, for purposes of the record.
Thank you. That's what I mean.
Thank you. So you can now go and search and do your Butaleja.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I would also like to add my voice to thank the Minister of Security for the presentation. First of all, I have some concerns and also eventualities at the same time. The Ugandans out there, they welcome the installation. However, what's on their mind right now is the implementation of the program. We've not been doing very well in that aspect. And I believe we need to pick lessons from the CCTVs and the national IDs, the gaps that we had. Already, apparently, there are issues already being raised, the costing, the procurement. I believe there are some issues that are meant to be made public and others are for government. But the concern is how are we going to implement this to make it more effective? Say, for instance, for me in Butaleja, how will a voter be able to afford that? Is it only going to be in the city or also in the countrywide? Because crime is all over the place, not only in the city setting. And the other issues, the regulation. How are we going to manage the monitoring? Won't other people misuse it for their own purposes? And also the issue of rights to privacy. How long are these tracking devices going to be installed on a border and a vehicle? Won't it cause also other issues and we end up having court cases? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Byanyima.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Me, I sympathize with Honorable Minister of Security because this is a done deal. You are just wasting these members' time, and I sympathize, Honorable Speaker. This is a young parliament, and I'm happy to be with part of this. Aren't we tired of doing fake things in this country? This is one of the fake things, I can tell you. Because you have already signed. There was no due diligence. You come to parliament at the tail end. I thought I was coming into this young parliament that is very serious to work. I am proud of it. But when you see you are bringing in fake things here, it is very embarrassing. Because already we have failed to manage these motorcycles in town. The minister is here. It is a mess in town. Can't we copy and paste? People are appreciating these cameras. You go anywhere, these cameras, are they the same cameras? These ones are fake. He just give a fake, bad picture. What I want to do, Honorable Minister, Right Honorable Speaker, open a fresh page for this country. This is a country of young men and women. The moment you continue treating them to this extent, it is dangerous. People are poor because we are rich. Not because these members of parliament are rich. It's because it is among us that steal money and eventually these people can't live a good life. Absolutely. You can't continue treating Ugandans, giving them supper at lunchtime. This is what is coming. You remember Honorable Muhezi? The issue of UCB, you remember? Even the president went for due diligence. We end up in problems. We have not done any good deal. You remember, Right Honorable Speaker, I was with you here. We have done fake things in the eyes of Ugandans, and one day we shall pay for our sins. This should not continue. I was in this parliament for 15 years, but I was happy to come back to a parliament that is rejuvenated by young people and women, but will take us to this. I sympathize with you, Honorable Mwezi, because you are dipping your clean hands into dirty waters. You would be caught up, definitely. So, Right Honorable Speaker, save us. Some of these things, they need to be researched on. We all move out of the country, and we see what people do. Currently, there are gentlemen, some companies outside in Uganda here, who are cleaning these plate numbers properly. People don't go to buy plate numbers.
Your time is up, sir. There is no time for information. I'll have, is that Shema also? I'll have Shema, then Kitgum, then Aivo. Okay, I think Kazodel.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank the Minister for the statement. I would like to say that we are all concerned about security, and we are interested in solutions to the extent that we can support. But we have some comments. The first one, I want to challenge government. We have young people here in this country who have been doing IT for years. We have a national IT strategy. We are producing graduates every year. But we are fed on imported systems, starting from national ID, passports, driving permit. Each MDA has got systems. When shall we stop this hemorrhage? Why can't we innovate as a country and do some of the systems here? It's a challenge to government. The way we are trying to control the outflow on travel, on what, we can stop this if we have serious commitment to win ourselves off these imported systems. Secondly, Honorable Minister, I know that with my historical knowledge, we have so many vehicles here. When we abolished the annual licensing, many people have been transferring vehicles without actually transferring ownership. This is one of the challenges you are going to face. It is worse for border communities where you have border borders and vehicles that come in on a temporary transit facility and they don't go back. How are we going to deal with this problem? Because I know, and I know some members of parliament may be here, you have bought a vehicle, but you have actually never transferred it into your name. How are we going to deal with those issues as we bring in this system? Right, Honorable Speaker, the issue of the user fees, as the Minister has said, this is going to be left to the company to decide. We must know that whatever user fees we are putting, it actually increases the cost of business. And therefore, we cannot leave it to the company to decide. Government should be able to negotiate what is affordable for the people, because actually, people have number plates now. Government is trying to strengthen security. It is the responsibility of government. It should not come at an extra unnecessary expense to the common wananchi. We want to support the initiative, but like members have said, such systems should have due diligence, but above all, government should look at innovators in this.
Thank you. Kidgum.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the intervention being made by government to address challenges of insecurity in this country. It is indeed very difficult to accept new interventions. They say change is always hard to accept. And when we ask these questions, we ask in good faith, and we want to see that as national leaders, we have fully analyzed what we are bringing to our people. The first question is it a good move? I would say yes, it's a good move. We need to be secure. But as we are doing that, there are things that we also need to tackle alongside bringing this device. And that is issue of naming these roads, naming the houses, so that we can connect between the cars and the direction where the car is going. I have seen of recent KCC has started that intervention, which is good. We need to spread it all over. Right Honorable Speaker, such an issue, the major question that any local Ugandan will ask is cost. We should just not sit here and say we are going to leave the cost to be on the company that will contract to determine. We will totally be exploited. We must come up with our own cost as government, and that should be the basis to do negotiations. I will not agree with my honorable colleague who said this is a done deal. We wouldn't be here discussing. Something can still be done, and these loopholes we are pointing out must be addressed. Secondly, the issue of local content. This is for further procurement across all the ministries. Let's give chance to Ugandans who have capacity to come up with such innovations, who have capacity to support government. Let's consider the local content and Ugandan suppliers first. Number 3, Honorable Minister, for me, I will not go into asking the details of procurement. I know the biggest corruption chain is on procurement in this country. But I just want to I just want to say that we will be with the Right Honorable Minister here. He's a Ugandan. Honorable Minister, just put your eyes on paper and follow up with these people, because we shall be the one.
Thank you. Ivo?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Feta Geoffrey, Ivo East constituency. I want to thank the Minister so much for trying to do a good job. We do appreciate his effort in securing the country. As we all know, the recent security challenges the country has faced, everybody agrees that there should be a solution. And this solution should be a practical solution. I've heard my colleagues speak nicely about the cameras. The country invested billions in cameras, and we're all aware in some parts it has done a good job. But for me, my story is not a good job. Arua Regional Referral Hospital lost an ambulance of 300 million in front of the cameras. The cameras are just installed in front of the hospital. Some people went there and they drove away the ambulance. And the cameras cannot help us to tell where this ambulance went. So the citizens on that part of the country are asking, did we spend well? Can we get returns on this investment? So as their representative, I am requesting the minister to give me assurance on the credibility and the reliability of this technology. I am a graduate of information technology, and I would want to appreciate this technology if you can expound on it a little bit, because I am not sure if it is credible and reliable in the long run. Should we spend this money? Shall we be able to explain to citizens the worth of this money? Because the procurement bit, you have said it is classified. We're not going to debate so much about it. But this money we are putting there, is it worth? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, we should draw this to a close. I have 2 motions and 4 responses to questions, which I intend to finish this day. And you sitting with me. I'll finally have Kazo Chaka. I will not come to you now, Honorable Tom Bright. So can he be the final one, please? And then we have 2 more motions. Those who have not debated this one will debate the motions.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. And I want to thank the Honorable Minister for the elaborate statement. But I also want to officially register my sympathies for the Honorable Minister for the scandal that is about to befall him, and he's my uncle, by the way. So I want to officially register my sympathies.
As a nephew or as a member of parliament?
Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, there is everything wrong with the method we are using in acquiring this service. Right Honorable Speaker, if you talk about direct procurement, there are standards, exclusiveness, that there is no other provider to this service. Or it is an emergency, you cannot wait. From 2018 to date, that cannot be an emergency. Now, the only test it passes is of a security nature. But the rest, it fails. Right Honorable Speaker, when you Google this company, on the basic Googling, what you will see is that it has issues to do with bankruptcy. Now, how do we really, as a whole country, can we stake our security? How do we solve a smaller problem with a bigger problem? Because if you are bringing a company already in question to solve our own security issues, why can't we, from 2018, Right Honorable Speaker, if we had embarked on training our own children here, the engineers who are floating on these streets, and just acquired the tools, and we put them in a place to manage this system, we would not have people
take our money. Right, Honourable Speaker. The other day, I raised an issue, a matter of national importance, about Lubowa Hospital. Someone in the same skin came and we gave them money for Lubowa. It has been in the foundation for the last 2 years, Right, Honourable Speaker. Now it's a Russian, I think. Right, Honourable Speaker, I really want to officially, if it's allowed in Parliament, to register my prayers for my uncle. He's headed for a bigger scandal in this project. Thank you, Right, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. If you are doing it as a nephew, you should have gone home. But if you are doing it as a member of Parliament, it's okay here. Honourable Minister, please, very, very briefly, we have overshot the time now.
Right Honourable Speaker, I would like to thank my honourable colleagues, friends and relatives for taking great interest in this project, and also for their prayers and best wishes. But I would like to assure them, as I said in the statement, that this government is concerned about the security of the people and of their wealth, including their expenditure, therefore. Honorable Elijah Okupa was asking for how long this company will own the project and then transfer to government. And the answer is that it will not be more than 10 years because they are putting in their money. Government is not putting in a shilling, although someone thinks people's expenditure is government expenditure. So 10 years, the answer is 10 years. And he was suggesting that why don't we do a pilot scheme with borders only, and if it works well, then we can extend it to vehicles. But again, I have to repeat that the whole idea is to curb insecurity, to capture the criminals, and the criminals use both motorcycles and vehicles, so we have to start in both. Then he referred to the issue of bankruptcy, that this company was declared bankrupt. According to our information, that is not true. It was never declared bankrupt, but there was a bankruptcy case about it in court. But as you know, bankruptcy sometimes is applied for by the very company. It has something to do with taxes and so on and so forth. This is our information. But the most important thing is that if it was to be true, there are clauses in the agreement that protect government. It will not lose even a penny. It will be the company to lose because it's bringing in their money, and if it was found out to be bankrupt, then the government will terminate the agreement at no loss to government. Then Honorable Solomon was asking about procurement, and I would like to thank Honorable Chebaju, who worked in Ministry of Defense for many years and knows about classified procurement. It does not mean when you procure selectively or outsourcing just one company it does not mean that you don't compare with other companies. You do, except that it's not public. You are not, it's open, not open bidding, but you definitely get so many, you can talk to them, then you choose the most suitable. The other question.
Honorable Minister, if you are going to adopt that procedure, I don't have the time, because 18 members contributed.
Okay. No,
I
I'm
like the
going to-
issues grouped, and you deal with them.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your guidance, Right Honorable Speaker, because some of the questions anyway were around the same. Maybe I'm going to answer them answering the other point, because the other point was on cost, that you know how much is very little. In the statement, I said it won't be a lot. So people are asking how much. The answer is that this amount has not yet been decided. It will be decided by the project management team, because we signed, as I told you in the other statement I made, I said we signed to allow this company to bring its equipment, but matters, details of how much they are going to pay, to charge, government is going to negotiate further, and the project management committee will decide.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on a point of order. This is a very pertinent issue, where we are talking about money which is not going to be paid by government, by the individuals from their pockets. And we are going to engage a contractor to bring equipment before we have even talked about what we are going to pay. You've just opened the gates of hell to the citizens. Is it in order for the minister and government to be reckless in handling matters that concern the public, the citizens of Uganda, by way of such statements? Is the minister in order, Honorable Speaker?
Honorable Member, final price determination, unless the government is going to agree to a price and subsidize, cannot be done before the matter is being set for the market. You have bought your suits, I don't know where they're from, but the only time you know the price is when you go to buy it. Because even the importer cannot determine from there that I'm going to charge Ugandans this amount of money, because the transportation will change, everything will start varying. In other words, the things that feed into the price determination is difficult. Look at our electricity regulatory authority setting up tariffs. They have issues, they have to consider this before they come to a final thing, and even consider government subsidies to help the people. So I don't think the minister was proceeding wrongly in saying they can't tell the price now, because they're even still manufacturing. They're even still manufacturing whatever is going to be brought. So
thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. The other question was about the technology, whether it is fake or, but as I said in my statement, a team of scientists visited the company in Moscow and made a report to the president confirming the capability of this company. And this company owns the technology. Another member was saying that we give our local company, but this is not even an available technology in other developed countries. There are very few countries. So these people, this company owns the patent rights of the technology. and they have done it in some other places, and they are bringing it to Uganda. And another honorable member was talking about the human intelligence. Of course, this technology is not coming to replace human intelligence. They work together. They complement each other. And as you may have heard, recently the cameras which are being criticized helped in the arrest of the criminals who murdered the chairman of NRM in Toroko. They were able to trace the people using cameras which captured the vehicle, number plates, and they found the vehicle. It had been hired for self-drive. The one who hired it gave it to another person, but all of them were arrested, and the CCTV helped. So, another point I should make is I referred to regulation, that we shall be coming back to you to amend some regulation, which means that the process is still going on by government, but also by parliament, because everything we are doing, we shall do it according to the law. And the parliament will be involved at every stage. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I think I should summarize by saying that we have taken note of all the concerns of the honorable members, and we shall always come back here when it is necessary to make sure that whatever decision is made, we make it together. If it fails, it won't be my problem, it will be a problem of all of us. I rest my case.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable members, can we proceed to the next items?
Item 5, laying of papers, list of accounting officers for financial year 2021-2022.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg you to lay the list of accounting officers for financial year 2021-2022. I beg you to lay.
Item 6.
Let the records capture that. That is the list of accounting officers for information of the House. Thank you very much.
Item 6, motion for a resolution of Parliament urging government to urgently come up with a custom-based recovery plan for private education schools to address the economic strain associated with COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, Honourable Member for Chankwanzi.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, since this is my first time on the floor of Parliament, yes, I take this opportunity to congratulate you upon attaining that seat as the Speaker of Parliament. Right Honourable Speaker, I take this opportunity still to convey my warm greetings from the people of Chankwanzi and to the House. Right Honourable Speaker, I rise to move a motion for a resolution of Parliament urging government to urgently come up with a custom-based recovery plan for private education schools to address the economic strain associated with COVID-19 pandemic. Moved under Rule 56 of the Rules of Procedure. Right Honorable Speaker, whereas in March 2020, Uganda, like the rest of the world, was struck by the first wave of COVID-19 pandemic, and government put in place various measures, including closure of schools and education institutions on 18 March 2020 to prevent and minimize the rate of transmission of the virus among the people. Aware that, Right Honorable Speaker, the schools remained closed till 15 October 2020 when the reopening started in a phased manner with candidate classes, tertiary and university finalists to enable them complete their studies. Right Honorable Speaker, further aware that before schools could fully reopen, Uganda entered the second wave of the pandemic early this year and arising from the country, recording a high number of COVID-19 cases. Schools were again closed effective on 7th June 2021 and remained closed to date. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, acknowledging that the prolonged closure of schools has not only disrupted continuity of education, but also has a spillover affected on the economic operations of private education subsector. Noting that, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, the economic shock of the COVID-19 pandemic has placed private education schools and institutions under significant financial stress due to accumulated bank loans, which were acquired primarily to finance school-related developments and operations. Right Honorable Speaker, to date, the education-related debt burden is close to 2 trillion shillings, with increasing interest charged at a very high rate of 22% to 26%. Every single day, causing a great risk as banks run out of patience for these non-performing loans. And as a result, some schools are on the verge of being auctioned. Right Honorable Speaker, further concerned that the loss of revenue has adversely impacted on employment capacity in private education sector, with more than 3,500 teachers laid off and about 2,050 support staff remaining unemployed and therefore without income till now. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, as at 2017, the private schools component in terms of enrollment at pre-primary, primary and secondary levels stood at 100%, 84% and 77% respectively, with an overall average of 84 across the three levels. And teachers' employment at pre-primary, primary and secondary stood at 100%, 84% and 77 respectively, giving an average of 87% contribution. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, private schools also contribute about 4% of the national GDP, shilling 200 billion in taxes every financial year, and approximately shilling 180 billion annually to the National Social Security Fund. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, appreciating the contribution made by private education schools and institutions in supplementing government efforts to provide education to citizens of Uganda and their economic contribution and social development of the young generation, now and therefore be it resolved by Parliament as follows. Right Honorable Speaker, my prayers. Parliament urges government put in place a recovery plan, including revolving recovery fund at a low interest rate to cushion private education schools and institutions from the consequences of bank loan backlogs and support them into sustainable recovery in the medium term. 2. Second prayer, Parliament urges government to engage commercial banks to restructure the loans extended to private education schools and institutions to allow flexibility in repayment. My third prayer is, Parliament urges government to extend financial and logistic support to private education schools and institutions to facilitate them in acquiring appropriate SOPs like sanitizers, face masks for staff, supplementary face masks for learners, and hand washing equipment in preparation for reopening of schools. The fourth prayer, Parliament urges government to take over the ownership of private institutions or schools where the owners are constrained to have these facilities operational. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move.
Is the motion seconded? Seconded by Agago, by Entebbe, by Aivo, by Maracha, by Nabila Tuk, and by, yes, the motion. Would you like to speak briefly to your motion? Because there's something I want to suggest about the motion. Honorable members, if you look at prayer number 4, urges government to take over. That means you don't just take over freely. There are implications financial. I don't know how that happens, but I'm already thinking of some situation that may arise in the course of discussing this motion. Yes, Honorable, would you like to justify your motion briefly, please? Very, very briefly, in 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members for supporting the motion. Right Honorable Speaker, when you look at the percentage of our schools in the country, private schools private schools have got 100% in nursery schools, 48% in primary schools, 77% in secondary schools, and 73% in tertiary education. These private schools have employed a lot of our people. Those teachers who come out from the PTCs and universities, most of them are employed by these private schools. The few are taken by Ministry of Education and district local governments. as an export earner. The existence of private schools or institutions has opened doors for citizens of our country from other countries to come and study and even teach our students in this country, thus increasing the export revenue from education contributed to the country. The growing of our local entrepreneurs. Education as a service has opened doors for many Ugandan investors to invest in our country, especially the private school owners. I therefore recommend that in an attempt to improve indigenous investors, we should support the existence of private institutions to stabilize the effects of COVID-19. Supply chain of agriculture. Private schools or institutions offer a big market to farmers in Uganda. This is good when you look at the big number of private institutions we have. It's automatic that even the intake of feeding from our agricultural products is big. Iggy beans and maize, which are fed by our students in those private schools. Right Honorable Speaker, looking at the future of our teenagers at stake, Uganda is reported to have one of the highest population in the world for the young people. National Bureau of Statistics estimates that 80% of Ugandans are below the age of 35 years, while 53% is below 15 years. Today I read somewhere where they were saying that protect and keep girls in schools to reduce teenage pregnancies during and after COVID-19 pandemic. There is no way we can protect this unless we support the existence of the private schools in our country. I therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, submit the motion. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I think it's a very clear request of an existing situation that we all know about. Honorable Member for Igara East is the seconder of the motion. He will do it in 4 minutes. And this time they have 2 seconders. I would allow the Honorable Member for Mityana North to use another 4 minutes after that. Honorable Mawanda, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, we all acknowledge the impact of COVID-19 pandemic has had on the education sector generally and specifically on the private schools as a result of the closure of schools. The private education subsector has been badly hit by the effects of the pandemic and calls for urgent intervention by government. Right Honourable Speaker and members, the private schools are grappling with various challenges, including one, the stretched closure of schools has caused severe operational challenges. They have totally run out of operating capital due to lack of revenue, while at the same time, they are faced with escalating bank loans, standing maintaining costs and lack of caution and recovery fund for reopening requirements. As a result, over the last 2 years, many private schools and institutions have found themselves in a dangerous dead corner, leading the sale of some schools, and some school structures have been turned into facilities for other businesses. Second, Right Honourable Speaker, many education institutions need and will need major refurbishment on reopening due to the redundancy, the reputation, and the cost will grow bigger as long as the closure continues. The number of professional teachers have opted and are continuing to opt out of the profession to initiate and run micro-businesses and vow never to return the teaching profession. In fact, other teachers are shining away from teaching in private schools
because of the uncertainties of job security. Yet, amidst these challenges, the private education subsector continues to play a significant role in complementing government in the provision of education and training to Ugandans. For example, private schools, especially at secondary level, normally admit all the learners after PLE and UCE that have not been absorbed by government-aided schools due to the admission cutoff points, thus supporting the government goal of higher education for all. Second, Right Honourable Speaker and members, when it comes to performance and quality of service, the private education subsector continues handsomely, as evidenced by the performance analysis in the national examinations, including PLE, USE, and UACE. Many private education institutions have produced top performing at all levels year after year. For instance, in the UCE results of 2017,